I'm very clear. Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right.
Hello everybody. So there is this social media post by Concordia Forum. There is a Twitter handle called Concordia Forum, whose social media post about a special iftar party with very eminent dignitaries has gone viral and triggering plenty of anger. The iftar party was hosted by the organizers of Concordia Forum, and the eminent dignitaries were Labour leader, potentially the future Prime Minister David Lammy, potentially the future Foreign Secretary Shabana Mahmood, the Labour MP from Ladywood in Birmingham, and many others. Now, why are people reacting angrily? Why are people angry? People are angry because they have just realized that there are, sold out souls within their community in the first world country like UK, where the lack of education is not an issue. The lack of awareness political awareness is not an issue. And yet this is happening here. So why would you have a problem in sharing iftar, one of the most sacred things in the holy month of Ramadan, with people like Keir Starmer or Shabana Mahmood or David Lammy? Because if you remember, immediately after the 7th of October, when Israeli started launching their genocidal campaign in Gaza, killing scores of people, Keir Starmer was one of the first people, one of the first politicians from the liberal gang to give his unconditional support to Israel. He was asked on LBC, you remember that video, because Israel had cut off the electricity, the food and the water, everything, and fuel. And he was asked by Nick Ferrari on LBC as to whether Israel was right to do that. Because, don't forget, Keir Starmer chap is not just the Labour Party leader and the potential future Prime Minister, but also he spent his career fighting international human rights cases. So he was being asked in the capacity as an international human rights lawyer as well. This is what he had said.
I'm very clear. Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right.
Then let's talk about David Lammy. David Lammy appeared on Sky News and he was asked whether he agreed with James Cleverly, who was the Foreign Secretary then, in terms of the government support to Israel in carrying out the genocidal campaign in Gaza. This is what he had to say.
The Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, says in the national newspaper this morning that there will be no resiling from support for Israel. Do you agree with that?
I think that must be right. Look, I'm thinking of Celine Ben Nagar, a young woman who should be completing her maternity leave and is a hostage at this point in Gaza, having left behind her husband and her new young baby. Israel has a right to go and get those hostages. It has a right to degrade the military equipment and rockets that have been used against it, to deal with the tunnelling of Hamas. And we must recognise that Israel is facing a huge existential crisis. 1,300 people dead, murdered, babies raped.
His emphasis on the word rape. We played you this video of Pramila Patten, who is the special representative of United Nations, specializing in sexual assault in conflict zones. And this is what she and her colleague had to say.
If you read the section of the report, starting with paragraph 62, we say what we have been able to verify, and that we went there because of the attention paid to kibbutz Be'eri and sexual violence. And I have mentioned in my report at least 2 allegations previously reported that we found to be unfounded, and we explained that it's due to either new superseding information or inconsistency in the information gathered, including first responder testimonies, photographic evidence, and other information. And I give two examples. Yes, we found it to be unfounded.
Are you at all concerned that this report, sexual violence against women, this is being weaponized as a way to continue violence in Gaza? That's why I'm asking these questions, because this is an important report.
Well, I understand that the invitation to me came as a result of pressure from civil society organizations in Israel and academia. And I do hope, and I can tell you that when I was there, no one told me it's too little, too late, or you came too late. On the contrary, many interlocutors told me, we are still mourning. Why are you here? And why this narrow focus on sexual violence? And everywhere, throughout the report, you see that I mentioned that could not be verified, and verification would entail a proper investigation.
So in short, to answer your question, no, we could not verify any sexual violence in Be'eri at this point, which does not mean necessarily it didn't occur. It means we couldn't verify it. And 2 of the cases that were reported were found to be unfounded.
So we know that no rape took place. We know what Israel has done since 7th of October, killing more than 30,000 people. 15,000 of them are children, are babies. And these figures don't include the unaccounted for numbers that may shock us in time to come, because, the dead bodies from the rubble haven't been taken out yet. So this figure could exponentially rise. And the people who supported the regime to carry out these murders are the people are being invited as special dignitaries by people from our community, people from the British Muslim community. That is the reason why they are being called sold outs on social media. I mean, you don't have to be Muslims. You don't have to be Muslim. In fact, the people are asking, and they're pointing out to the fact that Muslims may be the 5% of British population, and yet this is the level of insignificance they have reached, that nobody takes them seriously. Just imagine. And in fact, some of them have pointed out, just imagine, they have drawn a parallel with Jewish community, who are just 250,000 here, and look at their influence. And somebody said that what if this thing had happened to Jewish community and they were on the receiving end? And do you think any politicians would dare to make those comments? Or anybody from their community would have dared to invite, or the same people who supported a genocidal regime? That is a level of anger. I can just go on and on and on, but I have to curtail my anger. This is the holy month of Ramadan, and it drives you mad. It's very difficult to maintain sanity. I was just looking at the photos of people just enjoying the iftar. It's not just a question of, the Muslims or Christians or any other faith, or the blacks or the browns or the whites. It's just a question of humanity. How do you reconcile yourself? How do you make peace with the fact that you can share iftar, with these individuals who have supported the genocidal regime, who have supported a regime whose man-made starvation is forcing hundreds of thousands of Gazans to die. You've seen those photos of children being forced to eat, the food meant for the animals. And here are the so-called educated people of a first world country sharing the most pious thing in Ramadan, which is iftar, with individuals who supported this regime to carry out or to create these kind of situation. Anyway, I mean, I just had to sort of I encountered this. I came across this social media post this morning, and I thought, this story must be kind of like shared from this platform. So yeah, that's it for today. Take care of yourself. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because this is one of the many ways that you can support an independent media platform. God bless you all.